They laughed at me the day I told them I wanted to be a painter. The cracks of their laughter echoed in the confines of our living room, a prison of doubt and disappointment. My mother, with her nose buried deep in a magazine of achievements, raised an eyebrow, her lips curling into a sneer. A painter? Really? How ridiculous! My father, who wore success like a crown, shook his head slowly. You're embarrassing the family. Nobody makes a living that way. Each mocking word felt like a dagger, piercing through the tender skin of my dreams. I had spent all my teenage years sketching, painting, pouring my heart onto canvases that seemed to absorb every ounce of my passion, only to be met with ridicule from the very people whose approval I craved the most. In that moment, their laughter became the weight of 1,000 failures pressing down on my chest. It was unbearable, so I made a decision. I would leave and prove them wrong. With nothing but a tattered backpack and a heart full of hope, I stepped into the unknown, the world waiting to devour me whole. I moved to a city alive with creativity, a place where dreamers thrived and art flourished. But it wasn't easy. The first months were a blur of sleepless nights spent crammed in a tiny studio, surrounded by half-finished canvases and the soft glow of a flickering bulb. I worked odd jobs to pay the bills. A gallery in the city, known for launching the careers of unknown artists, reached out. They wanted to feature my work in their next exhibit. The news electrified me. I spent weeks in a feverish state preparing for the show, pouring every ounce of my soul into the pieces I would display. This was it, the moment I would finally shine. The night of the exhibition felt surreal. As the crowd gathered, I stood near my paintings, heart racing, anticipation bubbling in my veins. The whispers of admiration washed over me, and I reveled in the recognition I had long craved. Strangers praised my art, saw the depth and the passion behind each stroke. The validation I had yearned for was finally here, but it felt hollow without my family to share it with. Months passed, and my career soared. I held solo shows, received awards, and had collectors vying for my work. I had turned my passion into success, but the echo of my family's laughter lingered in my mind. I wanted them to see. I needed them to know that I hadn't failed. I had flown. So one evening, I gathered my courage and decided to return home. With my latest collection packed in a polished van, I drove the familiar roads, the memories flooding back. The small town hadn't changed much. The same old trees flanked the streets. The same shops lined the sidewalks. My heart thudded in my chest as I pulled into the drive, a mix of excitement and fear churning inside me. Knocking on the door, I could hear the muffled sounds of a family living their ordinary life. My mother opened it, her face twisting from confusion to disbelief. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her expression unreadable. "I thought you were off failing in the city." Ignoring the sting of her words, I stepped inside, my presence rippling through the air like a shockwave. My father appeared, eyes narrowing as if trying to place me. "You look different," he said, a hint of surprise in his voice. "Have you finally come to your senses?" I held my breath, the moment hanging suspended in time. I gestured to the canvases adorning my van, the pride tinging my words with fire. "I'm here because I want you to see what I've become." The silence that followed was deafening. My parents stared at me, the disbelief washing across their faces like a wave. I brought out the paintings one by one, revealing the journey I had taken, the triumphs I had earned, and the artist I had become. Their eyes flickered from piece to piece, absorbing the color, the emotion, the success woven into each canvas. And then came the moment. My mother stepped closer, her hand hovering over a bright, chaotic piece that represented my struggles, the years of fighting against their— "I didn't know," he said, his voice breaking. "I didn't know you could do this." In that moment, The laughter that had once echoed through our home faded into memory. I saw the beginnings of pride blooming on their faces, the acceptance I had yearned for finally dawning on them. The rejection that had once felt like chains was now transformed into wings, lifting me above the weight of their judgments. I stepped back, allowing their words to wash over me. The warmth of validation settling deep within my heart. I was no longer the dreamer they had mocked. I was the artist who had risen against the tide of doubt, and I had finally come home.